Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to check out the latest generation for the Dodge Durango Hellcat. Huge shout out to Carolina Auto Direct for providing this SUV for me today. Check out their website, that link is down in the description. They have a huge selection of pretty much brand new inventory, so definitely check them out. The Hellcat that you see behind me is finished off in gray, and we'll go over the MSRP for the Durango Hellcat once we go over all the specs and features for this family SUV. So let's start underneath the hood, where this has the Hellcat engine, of course. That's a 6.2 liter supercharged V8 paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. It pumps out 710 horsepower, 645 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent through the all-wheel drive system. This weighs in right around 5,700 pounds, but it'll do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds with a top speed of 180 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 24.6 gallons. You'll expect to see around 12 miles per gallon in the city, 17 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 119.8 inches. Its overall length is 201. It has a width of 76.4, a height of 72.1, and its ground clearance measures in at 7.8 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for the Durango Hellcat, let's start off with the fact that there are so many different air inlets for this SUV to provide a lot of cooling to that supercharged engine. We'll start with the upper grille, which has a narrow design to it with the SRT Hellcat logo on that driver's side, a dark trim for that surround, which also makes its way to underneath the headlight housings. And of course, this has LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals with a very nice design. And then there's even more cutouts in the lower section, along with all the parking sensors. There's even a sensor front and center for the adaptive cruise and all of that technology. And look at the size of this front splitter. It goes from the wheel wells basically on each side, all the way across, of course. Very, very large. Hopefully to give this a little bit more aerodynamics, keep this on the ground if you are taking this at triple-digit speeds. And then for the hood, it has a great design to it, but it also has functional air inlets and heat extraction vents, so that way that 6.2 liter supercharged engine can stay nice and cool. Definitely a great design to it up front. Looks kind of like the Charger Hellcats, of course, being a Hellcat model. And as we work our way to the side, this model has an aftermarket set of wheels. The factory wheels are 20 inches. These are a set of 22s with the red brake calipers behind that, which are factory, of course. This has 6 pistons up front and single pistons in the rear. I think I really like this specific wheel option. Paired with this color, it looks very, very nice. There's another Hellcat logo. This has black for the side mirrors, which also have the integrated turn signal. There's a sunroof up top as well. And then some nice lines running down the side. I like the crisp edges for the fender flares, and then there's a line right in the middle of the door. Nothing too fancy for the side, but I think it has a good overall design to it. And then as we finish up in the rear, this has the body colored spoiler with the integrated third brake light. Wiper blade is in the lower section. This even has a backup camera with the LED strip that runs right through the power liftgate, of course, with LEDs surrounding that entire bar. All the parking sensors are down below. This even has a dual exhaust and a maximum towing capacity right around 8,700 pounds. So this is a phenomenal family SUV that if you want some power and you want some towing, it's a great option to get. So let's listen to that dual exhaust now, because this does have remote start. So if I lock the vehicle and then double tap this button, we can bring this to life. And then if you double tap that button again, you can shut it off for whatever reason. And then from here, I can just double tap the button on the key fob as well to open up that power liftgate, or you can use the button up underneath where that handle is. So as we work our way into the back, this is a 3-row SUV, and with the 3rd row up, there's actually a good amount of space where you can place some items. If I lift this up, there's even more hidden storage space. So you honestly have a lot of space if you have this packed full of people to put all of your items in the back. On this left side, there's a small storage bin. On the right side, there's a 12-volt. There's also some hooks, so you can place some bags or anything that you need. And then to fold down the 3rd row, all I have to do is pull on that. I can push that forwards. You can see just how much interior storage space there is. So if you don't have 3rd row passengers, definitely plenty of room, especially for the size of this vehicle. There's a strap on each side, so you can quickly do this. I like that they're not automatic. Being manual makes it a lot quicker and easy to do. The liftgate, however, is automatic, so you can push on that button for it to close. I believe that you can shut that off if you need to, or you don't like having that. But as we work our way to the back seats now, The door panel has a really nice design to it. We have the black leather and stitching. There's a carbon fiber-like weave in that trim piece just behind it. Gloss black and chrome for that release handle section. There's even one speaker and a little bit of storage. And then these back seats even get the SRT Hellcat embroidered right in the Alcantara. They have a combo of the Alcantara and the leather along with all of the stitching. Gives it a very, very nice design. Let's work our way to the third row now. All I need to do is pull on this handle right here. You will see that seat fold down, which just gives you a little bit better access. And then from there, if I pull on this red strap, I can actually flip that entire seat up. So at 5'10", I can work my way into the 2 seats for the third row, where I actually have a good amount of space. There's an armrest and cup holder on both sides. You can see with this seat, plenty of room for my legs. And as far as headroom goes, I have around 2 or 3 inches above my head. We have the headrest there. I am touching the back section here slightly, but honestly, I could definitely ride around town, be super comfortable in the third row. That's how big it is in the back. We have a lot of glass, so it gives you a lot of lighting for your third row passengers. And that's pretty much it that you get for the third row. We have the same combo with the leather and the Alcantara. So it is a perfect blend to see that for the third row too, which is awesome. And then I can quickly hop out, lock this into place, and then flip this seat up, and we can move on to the second row. Now the second row does not slide forwards or backwards, which I think it definitely should. So with this seat moved slightly farther back than I would sit, I still have a lot of room for my feet. There's also a storage net behind both front seats. There's 2 air vents in the middle. These are even heated captain's chairs too. There's a 3-prong outlet and 2 USBs. And then with this seat reclined, I have plenty of room for my head. Definitely a comfortable place to be, even with the adjustable armrest that you can put down so you can get chauffeured around in this very quick family SUV. Up top are all the climate adjustments, so it's interesting to see them. We have fan speed, temperature, and where you like the air to go. They are not located down below where they normally are in a lot of vehicles. But taking a look now at the visibility from these seats, it is definitely very, very open on the inside. And then in between the captain's chairs, you get a little bit more storage, 2 cup holders, and a little bit more storage just behind that. You can use that area to enter the third row if you don't want to flip up the seats. So it's nice to see that amount of space. Now, as we take a look at the door panel now for the driver interior, very similar to the rear ones, we have the Harman Kardon sound system, a lot more storage space, all of the window controls, side mirror adjustments too. There is some plastic in the upper section of the door panel, but it still has a great design to it. And then of course we have the same design for these seats, a little bit more lateral support on each side, and they are automatic. So all those adjustments are down on the side. SRT is also down on the floor mats there. This is a low SUV too. Even though it's very big, it is low. So it's easy to enter and exit. And then the steering wheel has perforated and solid leather with all of the stitching. And then to go over all the controls on it, let's fire this back up. With that red button down below, we can bring this to life. And then coming back to the gauge cluster, you'll see miles per hour on the left side, engine temperature and fuel level are on the right, and right in the middle with the large LCD screen, you can go through a ton of information using all of the controls on the left side. There's also Bluetooth and voice commands too. So currently you can see the tach along with a 0 to 60 timer. This is under the performance tab. So if I go back up to that where it says SRT, I can scroll over and look at a lot more vitals and a lot of temperatures or a lot of timers that you can go through. Your brake distance, you have G-force meter. There's a lot of performance oriented aspects under the SRT tab that you can monitor. Pretty cool to see that for this SUV. You also have creature comforts like the adaptive cruise that you can turn on and off. You can monitor the miles per gallon under that setting there. There's also trip information. You can pull up the audio, of course. You have any messages that may appear. And then the screen setup, you can actually configure what you'd like to see in each corner. So currently in the upper left is the compass. You can change that. The upper right is the range. So just depending on what you'd like to see, you can quickly go into those settings. And then we also have any diagnostics that you'd like to look at. There's a speed warning too. And then we have the miles per hour, which you can look at. And the last one here are a bunch of vitals that you can go through, just depending on what you need to monitor. If you're tracking this, you can also look at your horsepower and your torque. you can monitor all of this information. It's nice to have that front and center. So I like how there's a lot of info that you can quickly go through. Now on this right side, there's all the cruise control settings along with the distance pacing. This even has paddle shifters on both sides. And underneath the paddle shifters, we have volume on one side and tuning on the other for the audio. So it is nice to see that. Now on this left side, there's the headlight adjustments along with a dimmer switch for the gauges. You'll notice more leather. There's also one air vent and a small speaker on that door panel there. And then right in the middle, we have a very large 10-inch touchscreen system. Currently you can see it's under the SRT setting under vehicle, where you have a lot of different settings to go through. There's track, you can put it into sport, there's snow, tow, and a custom setting, which will adjust all of these different settings here. So under settings, you have a lot of info just depending on what you'd like to see. If we go into controls, you can go to the headrest fold, so that's the second or third row to give you a little bit more visibility. You can also access the rear view camera. And then under SRT, we have the performance pages where you can look at a lot more info. There's your steering angle, where the power is being sent. You can even pull up a G-force meter, look at your dyno. There's a lot of gauges to pull up, even timers as well. And then the last one is the race option. So you have launch control. You can actually adjust the RPM for that launch, as well as where you'd like the shift light to appear for each gear. Pretty cool to see that for a family SUV like this. Now in the lower section, if I push on home, you can see the navigation along with the audio. We also have comfort, so you can go through the heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, where you'd like the air to go, and then all of the climate adjustments. You can also pull up the navigation in full screen. There's your phone when you have that paired. Vehicle is the tab we were currently just in. There's also a tab for the media, and then if I go into apps, you can look at a lot here, just depending on what you'd like to go through. You can scroll through all of this information. It's a very easy system to use. I like everything that is available, so it's nice to see that. There's also some shortcuts in the upper section, so if you push on these, you can quickly get to that information there, and you don't have to pull it up, which is nice to have. Now underneath that, there are a lot more physical buttons. On this left side is power and volume for the radio. Tuning is on the right side. You can even shut that upper screen off if you'd like to. So if you want that calm screen setting, you can just push on it to bring it back to life. There's the heated and ventilated seats and steering wheel, all of the climate adjustments right in the middle. And then with the row of toggles underneath it, this has the lane keeping assist, the parking sensors, which you can turn on and off, along with traction control. There's a shortcut to SRT, so that screen that I showed earlier, you can quickly get into that. And then this also has launch control. So by pushing on that, you'll see traction control come off, and you can actually launch this Durango. Very, very cool to see that. Underneath that, there's a wireless charging pad along with some auxiliaries and a little bit of storage if you need to use that. There are two cup holders, and then with the leather wrap shifter, if I put this into reverse, you will see that backup camera up here, which we already showed. If I go down into drive and pop it over into the manual setting, that is how you can use these paddle shifters. We will test those out once we get this out on the road. Now behind that, there's a little bit of storage. We have some leather on the armrest and a good amount of storage space in the lower section. There's also a little bit in the upper section, so it's nice to have that split. And then the glove box also has an ample amount of space. There's also a 12 volt on that passenger side too. And like I mentioned, this does have a sunroof, so we have the manual adjustment for that sunshade along with the sunroof adjustments right in the middle. There's also some garage door buttons. You can release and close the power liftgate, and this even has a sunglass holder, which is really convenient to have. Now that we're setting off behind the wheel of the Durango SRT Hellcat, I've been in a lot of the Hellcat models for the Chargers and the Challengers. This is a first for the Durango Hellcat, so I'm super excited to see what it's like to have over 700 horsepower in a family-style SUV. So let's talk about not only the supercharger whine, not even giving it any gas here, but let's talk about what the SRT Hellcat starts at. It's right around $82,000, but for 82 grand, think about what you are getting for that money. Not only are you getting a functional family SUV that has 3 rows, you're getting a towing vehicle too. You're also getting a Hellcat engine in your family SUV. So if you are a performance-oriented car enthusiast, you have a family, you need a big SUV like this, but you want that Hellcat, you also want something that's a little bit on the rare side. You don't see a lot of Durango Hellcats around. Even if you do, they're probably scarce and, throughout, not located a lot of places. But if you want something that's kind of under the radar, but then you can also downshift a few gears and then do this. On paper, 0 to 60 is 3.5 seconds, which is quick. For a heavy SUV like this, that is impressive to see. Now, I'm not testing that today, so just with the accelerations that I can do today, it's hard to say. It doesn't feel quick because it's heavy, but it's fast and it gets up to speed. And I don't know what the radio's doing there.
Canceled.
Okay, but anyway, I mean, if you're looking for that, you want the power and just the practicality of this vehicle, this is something that you can take to the track as well. If you want to do stuff like that, you could take it on some back roads like I'm on right now. It's a big vehicle, so as far as turning performance goes, you know, you're gonna feel the weight of it. But I've had friends who have had these Hellcat vehicles, taken them to the drag strip, easily pumping out well over 1,000 horsepower to the wheels with some simple and basic modifications. It's a pretty cool family hauler if you want kind of the best of everything. So for 82 grand, it's expensive, but realistically, when you put it against other full-size 3-row SUVs like the Lincoln Navigator or even the Aviator, Ford Expedition Max, sizes, you know, vehicles of that size that don't have nearly even half the horsepower that the Durango Hellcat puts out, it's pretty much a bargain when you compare it to other SUVs that are not performance oriented. And as we give it another acceleration, there's a little bit of a delay in the paddles. It's not as performance oriented as I would like to see it, especially being the Hellcat. Downshifts seem a little bit more responsive, but there is a slight delay on the upshifts. Is that a positive or negative? I mean, the Hellcat is something, like I said earlier, I've had friends who take these to the drag strip. So it'd be nice to see maybe a little bit quicker of an acceleration or a response for the paddles. But of course, you could just leave it in drive. And it seems a little bit more responsive. So it's interesting that with the paddles, you kind of have to hit it and hit it before you think you would normally hit it for it to respond to that shifting. Not a huge deal. I would like to see it a little bit quicker. Maybe a tune or something could adjust that as needed. But yeah, for over $80,000, I really can't think of a competitor to the Durango Hellcat. We have a 3-row SUV with all of this horsepower and performance. There's really no other vehicles that can match that horsepower. Comment down below if I'm just not thinking of it at the moment. But also for 82 grand, you're not getting the best interior. You know, there's some plastic here and there. It's still a Dodge, so it doesn't have quite all the bells and whistles. Yes, you have heated ventilated seats, very, very nice seats, but there's some plastic and some trim pieces here and there. And I have heard from the Charger reviews and Challenger reviews that I've done, people would like to see an update or an upgrade from Dodge. So maybe they will do that very, very soon as far as some of the other materials. But I will say, you're not really buying this for the interior. It is a nice interior, I will say, even with some of those minor issues there, not really issues, but with some of those topics that I just mentioned, you're buying this for the performance that you're getting out of this 3-row SUV. So we downshift again, a little bit of a delay on those shifts. But mild acceleration. I'm not even doing half throttle today, but I know you guys have probably seen other Hellcat reviews where these just rip, especially with the all-wheel drive system. Getting a launch off the line, I mean, this is one quick vehicle. You're talking supercar performance in some of these numbers with its extra weight too, which is impressive to see. But unfortunately, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this walk around review and test drive in the Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat. Once again, huge shout out to Carolina Auto Direct for providing this vehicle for me today. Check out their website, that link is down in the description. Give the video a huge thumbs up again if you enjoyed it, and smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. And with one last acceleration, I will see you all in the next video.